A 3-year-old vanishes without a trace. Where is Lena Keel? How does a 3-year-old child vanish into thin air? This is the last video we know of Lena Sardar Keel. When she first disappeared, the search was intense. But as the months passed on and the media attention died down, her family's frustration grew. On the 20th, it will be 3 years since Lena disappeared from the playground at the apartments where she lived with her parents and her baby brother on Fredericksburg Road. Lena and her parents are refugees from Afghanistan. Her father worked with the U.S. Army, and they're here on a special visa. But now her father feels none of that matters since his child is still missing.
I remember when the investigator first came on and he told the family, we're going to find her. And under 2 weeks, we're going to find her. And here we are 3 years later.
Pamela Allen is the advocate for Lena's family. She tells us the not knowing is getting harder for them. How often does Riaz and Sarmina hear from the San Antonio Police Department, from the FBI, from anybody that was involved in the case?
They don't. Communication is very little. And they will only communicate with the family when the family has reached out and asked him, have you heard anything? And typically when the family watches social media or watches the news, and when they see that there's been a roundup with sex traffickers or even drug traffickers, when they watch that, their biggest question to me is, do they know anything about Lena?
The U.S. Marshals need your help. The most difficult moment this past year was when a man we showed you on Marshals' Most Wanted Fugitives sent investigators on a week-long dig near Lena's home. He made a startling confession.
When they took a Bexar County inmate to the place where he said he buried Lena, and that was hard to get any information even while we were at the scene. Why are you here? What's happened? Why are you doing this? They communicated very little to us.
But nothing was found here. Also trying to help the family is Project Absentees, a nonprofit made up of retired federal and state law enforcement agents. Abel Peña, a retired FBI agent, is the director. At 3 years, what do you think the people involved in this case in your former agency are doing right now as they're looking at 3 years later and we're no closer to knowing what happened to Lena?
This is a tough case. There's a lot of frustration in trying to, piece things together, trying to learn what happened. I know that the FBI is doing everything they can. They're, more or less providing their services as a resource for the SAPD. So both agencies are actively involved in this case. I do know that they have done things such as polygraphs, and in their investigations, they have, I'm sure, uncovered things. But again, it's been 3 years.
Because I care. She's so cute.
And we still want to know if investigators looked at the sketches done by Lois Gibson, the Houston PD sketch artist who has helped solve thousands of cases with her sketches. Sketches of two men, an eyewitness who came forward through social media, says they saw with Lena the afternoon she disappeared.
This person said, I knew it was her because I thought how beautiful that little girl was all in red. And if you remember the day that Lena disappeared, she was wearing all red with a black coat. So this person was then contacted by myself and by a few others, and then started giving information to the sketch artist. about who those men were.
Fox SA gave the sketches made by Gibson to the police department. We also showed them to Riaz and Sarmina, Lena's parents. One man is African and the other is Afghan. Lena's father didn't know who the African man is, but he knows the Afghan man, but that he doesn't believe he had anything to do with his daughter's disappearance. The couple continues to pray Lena is safe wherever she is.
Theories is that she was taken and sold and that she is with another family. And he prays that when she gets older, she will remember and find her way home because he does not have any faith in SAPD.
Fox SA requested an update on the case from SAPD. We're waiting to hear back. A college student never makes it home for the holidays. The case of Jason Landry.
Address for that subject is coming back to Missouri City, maybe associated with the driver of that vehicle.
Or like the oxygen part out of the water.
Jason Landry. His name is synonymous with a mystery. It's an anniversary no parent wants to celebrate.
This is his toiletry bag. This is his flip-flops. These are Jason's clothes.
Your baby gone and no answers as to whether he's dead or alive. Is this truly the definition of a cold case?
No, because it's an active case.
Jason was last seen on December 13th. His abandoned car was found in the early morning hours of December 14th, 2020, on this rural road in Luling, east of Seguin. We have followed the case ever since.
I don't know if you saw all his clothes and stuff back. He's completely naked wherever he's at. There's blood on his underwear.
In this video Fox San Antonio obtained last year, we see what a volunteer firefighter found in the middle of the road. He then called DPS. Every day since then, Landry's family has been searching for Jason.
To be honest, as a family member, it makes you think no one cares about your baby. You know, when your family member is missing.
Kent Landry is Jason's father. He says the pain of not knowing what happened to their son is like sitting and waiting with your injured child in a hospital and no one is coming to help you.
If you've been in that emergency room and no one's caring and no one pays attention to you, you're want to go off. You are want to just go grab the first person and say, please help my child.
Project Absentees has been working on this case. It's a missing persons nonprofit headed by retired FBI agent Abel Peña. Did Jason just walk off?
I don't believe he did, no.
Peña says you just have to examine the body cam video to know something just doesn't add up.
The clothes were kind of laid along the middle of the road off of Salt Flat Road there in Luling. The vehicle did a 180 against a tree, and then if you follow the clothes are kind of laid as if he was walking towards Luling, taking off his clothes. Now, the clothes were laid almost in a parallel line along the middle of the road, off Salt Flat Road. And, you know, if you're somebody that's just taking your clothes off, let's just say you wouldn't kind of take them off, you would kind of just throw them, especially if he was at least alleged to be in the state that he was in. He was high. You know, you wouldn't just lay the clothes along a straight line, almost like what he did.
Peña and other retired law enforcement agents have spent the last 2 years reviewing and following missed opportunities never looked at by Caldwell County, and hopes that the tips that continue to come in will help crack this case.
We conducted a lot of interviews out there. We do know that the local, the Caldwell County, we don't know if they did any of that stuff, because whenever we spoke to some of these folks out there, they had never talked to anybody. We've been able to learn a lot about the city, been able to learn that there are some criminal areas which coincidentally happen to be in that same intersection. There's some areas there that are not too safe I guess, to be driving really late at night.
Some of the evidence found by Peña was accepted by the Attorney General's cold case unit. Kent Landry and his family say they know either way they will meet again someday with their son. They hope that by keeping his search on the news, his unsolved case will help other young people stay safe.
Young people are not Teflon. Jason's 21 years old in the prime of his life. And things happen. There are bad people out there. There are good people out there. But don't put yourself in a vulnerable situation. Make wise and discerning decisions. And I think that's, it's very strange for your child's name to be used as a cautionary tale.
A local mother missing for decades, why Patty Vaughn is still waiting for justice. She had the voice of an angel, according to her family. The mother of three was ready to start a new life away from her allegedly abusive husband, J.R. Vaughn. But the dream of a new life tragically ended Christmas Day, 1996.
She was such a good mom.
Barb Kinsey is Patty's cousin, but they were raised together as sisters. She has led the search for 28 years.
Just made their costumes for Halloween. She made sure Christmas parties were the best, birthday parties were the best. She was very involved in her church. She was an amazing singer. She sang in a Christian gospel rock group and was a lead singer. I would love to see what she could have done with her life, that she was happy and had the freedom to do what she wanted to do, not what someone else allowed her to do.
Kinsey and the rest of her family last saw Patty on Christmas Eve, 1996, in their home.
She was happier than I had ever seen her. And but we had some conversations that night were hard. She was going through a very rough time with the divorce. JR was not taking it well at all. And she had asked me I asked her if she was okay, how she was doing, and she asked me if I knew how to file a restraining order, that he was stalking her.
Patty left and made plans to see them Christmas Day. That day never came.
All of the blood found in the house was identified through DNA as Patty's blood.
They have the evidence that Patty was killed there. They have the evidence that Patty's, was placed in her van there and transported away from that home. So without a doubt, Patty was killed there. We just don't know what happened to her afterwards.
J.R. Vaughn called Patty's family on the 27th and told them she was missing. Patty's car was found abandoned on the side of the road near her workplace. Investigators with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office discovered blood inside of it. Despite an attempt to clean it, they also found blood in her bedroom using luminol, a chemical that detects blood traces.
They found drag marks that went through the master bedroom into the master closet. They found blood in the tub, and they found blood in the sink, and they found actual blood on the baseboard. Now, it was not a lot of it, but they had enough to process it for DNA. So then they issued a warrant to take Patty's children's blood to match the mitochondrial DNA. It matched to Patty. They told us when this comes back and matches, we will arrest him.
Patty's estranged husband, J.R. Vaughn, has been a person of interest since her disappearance. After 28 years, he remains listed as such on the DPS website.
In JR's statement, JR said that he made one statement. He refused a polygraph and he refused to be interviewed after that initial 4-hour interview. And he said that someone in law enforcement had told him that he did not want to be out there looking for Patty when she was found under a brush pile with feces and his footprints all around. And those are the exact words. I'll never forget it. Bexar County inadvertently faxed me a copy of his statement to my place of employment. accidentally. It was labeled Exhibit A.
Kinsey recently heard of the Attorney General's cold case and missing persons unit that was established 3 years ago. They assist local law enforcement investigating and prosecuting unsolved cases.
Anything that anyone can do to help, I'm never going to shut that door. But I can tell you that my family has never given up hope. We've given up hope that JR will ever be prosecuted for this. But we will never give up hope in finding her or finding out what happened to her. He put her somewhere.
Patty's family knows someone out there knows something. Just in the last 2 weeks, some have come forward and shared information they say they gave to law enforcement recently. But no one knows if the new leads have been investigated. Kinsey believes the conscience of some will not let them rest, and they will have to answer to God, according to her. Kinsey now has this message for them.
If you're watching this, I'm telling you, we're not going to pursue you at all. Just let us know what happened and what he did. You have to live with that, and you have to die with that. And you have to know you have to know what you're taking with you to the grave. Is it worth it?
For Patty's 3 children who were moved away by their father and are now adults, Kinsey sends nothing but love since she has not had contact with them since her mother was murdered. What would Barb Kinsey today tell Barb Kinsey that day that you found out that your cousin, who's like your sister,
right,
Patty, had disappeared?
I would tell her to follow your instincts, advocate for Patty, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't or you shouldn't. Look for, speak out, speak up, especially when it comes to law enforcement.
He's been missing for 15 years. The new leads in the baby Gabriel case. These are the last pictures Logan McQuarrie has of his little boy. For Logan, his son Gabriel will always be frozen in time, looking as he did at just 8 months old. It was 2009 when the new father held his son in his arms before Gabriel disappeared and became a San Antonio mystery. The private investigator hired by the family is for the last 2 weeks, the FBI. The clerk remembers Johnson checking in. This is Elizabeth Johnson, Gabriel's mother. She served time for custodial interference. Johnson was the last person to see Gabriel alive, later telling Logan McQuarrie that she had killed their son. According to Elizabeth, however, the plan had been to give Gabriel up to a couple in a park. Earlier this year, retired FBI agent Abel Peña was part of a documentary investigating Gabriel's disappearance, shedding new light on the case.
I've made a couple trips to Arizona. I met with a person that was very interested in talking to us about baby Gabriel.
Peña, who's the managing director of a nonprofit called Project Absentees, believes the information he received may hold the key to what happened to Gabriel.
Apparently this person had a very close relationship with both Robert and Elizabeth Johnson and conveyed to me a story way different than what's been conveyed to the press, that baby Gabriel was put up for adoption or that he was taken by strangers. The story that he told me was quite different from even that. And I really can't go into details. I know police have copies of that interview I did. I know they're looking at it.
This lead, like many others over the years, gives the family hope that Gabriel will be found alive.
I would want him to know that his dad and the whole family, none of us, have ever given up on looking for him.
Sandy Peters is Gabriel's great aunt, who's helped his father with the search for the child for 15 years.
I think that that's a possibility that he may not be with us anymore. But I'll tell you, I don't understand how she can have a baby one day and not the next, and she's not in trouble for that. I don't understand that. I talk to Texas San Antonio Police Department often, and I've said to them over and over again, how can it be that there's nothing that she's done that you can't charge her with?
Looking for my son, Gabriel Johnson.
Peters believes the Attorney General's office, with its resources, could finally bring justice to Gabriel's disappearance. She has been in contact with the state office, but cannot get SAPD to invite the agency to help with a 15-year-old cold case.
They're willing to help San Antonio. They're willing to use their budget to help San Antonio. They've got investigators. And so it's been a very generous offer. And I'm hoping that that will possibly happen.
Despite this generous offer, the case remains unresolved, leaving loved ones in a painful state of uncertainty.
We have bad times where you don't hear anything for a long time, but you learn to live with it. And although we think about Gabriel every day, we keep our faith that he's somewhere that he's happy, and that someday Logan will get to see him again.
Yami Virgen, Fox SA.